Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Daniel Beckman. I'm currently a CFO with Cognito Health, and we built a patient monitoring system with sensor and machine learning technology. I'm also a member of DX Ecosystems, where we built an ecosystem of innovation providers, which we vet and select, and then use innovation providers that successfully build enterprise-level solutions focused on improving user experience, and we introduce them to institutions. And when the question came up of who can talk about AI, I reached out to one of our innovation providers. And so today I'm honored to have with us Rishi Bhatnagar and Rishi Ramano. And Rishi Bhatnagar is focusing on the technology, and then Rishi Ramano will talk to us from a user perspective. They are both have background in both financial professionals, and will help us as financial professionals understand how should we look at AI, what's reality, what's hype, how can we leverage the tools, and which ones can we probably ignore. Rishi Bhatnagar is a thought leader in AI and machine learning, over 20 years of experience in business analytics, data finance, and business technology. He saw the power of artificial intelligence and how it could change the business years ago, which then led him to found a company on generative AI in 2020, which he named Quaeris. He's made significant contributions to the analytics and BI community with publications and presentations and leadership roles. Most recently, he's the founding president of Analytics and Big Data Society, which has become one of the most respected analytics networking groups here. And I am also here in the Charlotte, North Carolina region. Rishi Ramano, he is a highly qualified accountant, holding both designations of ACCA and CPA. He is a current CFO and has many years of experience in previous CFO, corporate controller, assistant controller roles, as well as a senior manager role with E&Y in London and E&Y New York. And with that, and no further ado, I will hand it over to the Rishi and Rishi show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone taking the. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we're good.
Yeah. So taking time to be here. My background is actually in finance, and I don't know if I should be proud of the fact that I've never written a line of code in my life. So the niche that I've found in my consulting years is the fact that I can translate the business requirements into a vision for technology. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I have tried hard in this, when I was preparing for this presentation, to not be too technical, not be too educative, but I'd like to keep it as conversational as possible. So please feel free to ask questions anytime. Raise your hand, and Armin or Dimi or Daniel will bring the question up to everyone. I invited my close friend and my client, Rishi, because he's the CFO, to talk about his own experiences around why did he choose to become, to get onto the AI bandwagon soon enough. So I will start the conversation with something that's most relevant, right? The evolving role of CFO, and I'll see what Rishi has to say on and kick it off. So over to you, Rishi.
Great, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you for this opportunity. So I figured that the first place to start would be not to talk about AI, but more to talk about the roles and responsibilities of a CFO, as many of you are already aware of being CFOs yourselves. But just how it's changed over the years. The CFO is no longer a CFO. It's not just a finance function anymore. You're now expected to become a business leader as well as a functional leader. And I believe that that's where the role is going to evolve and will continue to evolve. And what this means is that you're no longer just tied down to finance functions anymore, but also you're looking at business strategy. You're looking at types of innovations and strategy levels and things that necessarily weren't really around 10 years ago. And so one of the big things that I think we found as a CFO is just how much we're expected to be input and thought leaders in every single cross-functional department that there is within your businesses. And so with that in mind, there isn't really an AI or one AI that's going to solve all your problems. That's the one thing that we found. You're going to have to probably leverage multiple AIs in order to kind of keep up with the process. Sorry, it's a bit loud where I am. If you want to move to the next slide, Rishi, or whoever's controlling the slides. There you go. So yeah, so this is just like a quick expectation level from my experience of what's the kind of things that I've been doing as a CFO for the last 5 to 10 years, and the different types of aspects that I've been involved in. It covers anything from HR, setting the company culture and HR capabilities, down to capital optimization with M&A convergences, cost monitoring and market sensing. The biggest thing I think has been the innovation and growth strategy. We've been tasked with finding AI solutions to complex problems, but a lot of it is just go and find the best thing and come back to me with your solution. And we're kind of left to our own devices to now go and do that. And the problem is where do we even start? Especially in a field that, as Rishi said, isn't necessarily second nature to a CFO. So I think this is what's going to happen. So then, as a result of this evolution, the biggest thing that we're going to find now is actually what are the skills that we even need to go and do this? So we're going to have to learn machine-enabled autonomous processes. We're going to have to learn about AI. We're going to have to learn about needing information on demand. How can you be a good strategy leader if you don't have the information at your fingertips and the data relevant to you? How are you going to become good talent management and give a good experience if you don't have that data and skill sets already there? So I think the AI is going to be a big part of helping us learn to evolve into this multidimensional CFO. And I think AI is going to be a massive part of aggregating that data and being able to pass it out and portion it out into the right places, but also provide you with the information that you need to become the all-round CFO that they're expecting you to be. And so with that, I'm going to hand over back to Rishi to talk more about the AI and the solutions.
I put Rishi on mute.
So Rishi, you're on mute still. There you go.
Okay. So the topic is important. We all know that. And we also know why is this important at this point in time. If you think about the perspective, just purely from technological changes, mainframes to PCs to internet, they just opened up a whole lot of opportunities for businesses, and they closed several doors as well. But each subsequent technology has been more transformative than the prior one. Since 2000, right, when we were right here between internet and mobile, at that intersection, 52% of the Fortune 500 companies vanished. This is still about 2022. 52% of the companies vanished. And we are here at the intersection of cloud and AI, when mobile is 5G, when internet is pervasive, when compute is commodity, storage of data is commodity, the power of mainframes is in here. Can we just imagine what kind of changes are expected? And I know you all do, and you all respect that. That's why you all are here, right? That's why you all are here, because we are at this very critical juncture of how things are going to change and what could be the applications for it. So first of all, I want to say, what is AI versus Gen AI? Real quick, this is probably as technical as I'm going to go. Artificial intelligence is a big, huge thing. Go back to the days of Alan Turing, right? It's a big thing, but then it's a big umbrella. Within that, you have something called machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence, a type of technology, an approach. And within that is deep learning. And there are multiple types of deep learning. And when you combine deep learning with unsupervised learning meaning we are not going to tell you what to do, just go figure it out. If you can tell the difference between a cat and a dog, look at million pictures of cats, look at a million picture of dog, and start learning how you differentiate. So that's unsupervised learning. And when you put deep learning and unsupervised learning together, you get generative AI. So generative AI is a very small field within AI. And when people talk about the big AI, they're talking more about the AGI, the artificial general intelligence, which is mimicking the human brain. There's another important element in here around natural language processing, understanding and generating a natural language, which I'm very passionate about. And I really think that natural language is kind of the biggest benefit to us coming out of this, because that's what we grow up. The first things that we learn intuitively is language. And if we can start talking to our data and talking to everything else using natural language, we are thinking about significant gains. If this is good for all of us, let us think about what is an AI application consists of. I'm not going to talk servers. I'm not going to talk technology. So think of it in a very simple terms. There is source data. It could be millions of pictures of cats and dogs. It could be your corporate data. It could be internet. Then you learn and train on that. And then what you create is a knowledge base. It could be multi-model. Different models could be used. Multimodal, meaning it could have voice, it could have videos, it could have text, it could have data. Then you create a knowledge base based on your learning. And then you wait for a situation to occur. A big transaction came through. You have to find out, is that a fraud or legit? It's very easy to filter that situation, that scenario through your learning database, because you know what a legitimate transaction looks like. So how easy it is for me to find out that this is a fraudulent transaction. A situation could just be that you come in the morning into the office and just say, hey, what is my cash position? You could ask in English language. How many people, there was a volcano that erupted in Iceland. How many of our company people are in Iceland vacationing today? It's a simple question. You should be able to get that answer instantly. So there's a situation you want to answer to it. Now, when you want the answer, how do you want the answer? You want as a text document? You want that as a chart or a graph? You want to collaborate with people? So that's really what it is. Now break it down into how do you group them? So you have connectors that you connect to the big systems. Then you have models and algorithms to create that together. And then you have situation and consumption of that data. So this is a very simple way, and every single AI system, irrespective of what the salespeople will tell you, irrespective of the tech speak, the CTOs of Microsoft and these big companies will talk, it breaks down to these simple things. There's data, you got to train on it, and then you apply a situation to that learning. Cool. What will this lead to? We understand all of that. What will this lead to? And numbers are all over the place, because people are just guessing. Direct benefit, 2.6 to 4.4 trillion dollars of economic value every year. That's a lot. That number, 4.4 trillion, is like the economy of all of South America put together. 4.4 is the economy of more than the economy of Germany or India. So that's direct benefit. When all the subsequent adjacent benefit and productivity gains and so on and so forth are going to happen, people are guessing that productivity, that economic impact is going to be 6.1 to 7.9 trillion. When we get to almost AGI, and when we get to the broader benefit, full adoption of AI, we're looking at 11 to 20 trillion dollars in economic value. Question all of us have to ask is, how do I benefit? How do my company, me individual, benefit from? What piece of that pie can I take? There's a lot of money floating around in coming years. Now let's talk about at micro level. What does it really mean to me? For me, it means consumerization of technology. You guys are CFOs, you guys write check in finance organizations, you guys are FP&A, you guys are accountants, you guys write the checks and track how much money you guys have spent on technology. I would venture a guess that many of us always wonder, did I get the value of that investment in IT that I made? Please feel free to raise hand or not raise hand, that's okay. Either ways, I think there are many people who say, I don't know what's the value we're getting. Because this technology, people are sitting in a bubble, they're sitting in an ivory tower. I think that consumerization of technology is going to happen, right? Suddenly we will realize that that all the technologies which are difficult to achieve or see from other people is easily approachable, available to us. The second thing that we're going to see is what I would say is automation. A lot of automation will lead to productivity gain and efficiency gain. And that's what I'm excited about. What can we do to get that productivity gain? That's really the bottom line. We could have all kind of AI, but if it doesn't lead to clear dollar benefit to me, why should I? What kind of efficiency gains can I have? What use cases can I apply this to? Increase effectiveness, better decision-making. How long does it take for you all to wait for different data elements? You have to ask a question of your data guy, then they go back 2 days later, they'll give you an answer, and then you'll say, no, what I want is also this. Can you break this down by customer? Can you break this down by product? Can you break this down by product category? Just imagine if you had access to data at your fingertips. How easy would your job become? Would you be making better decisions? The way I look at it is, again, these are guesses all over the place. People say that the adoption of data, meaning dashboards and such, is anywhere between 3% to 5%. I believe that in a company, 50, 60, 70, 80% of the people need to have access to data. We talk about digital transformation. You talk to an IT person, what is their definition of digital transformation? What they mean is, let's pick these applications and put that on cloud. That's all they. Whereas if I talk to business people, when I talk to business people, they say digital transformation is not complete until everybody in the company who needs the right data, right information, gets that. So that's kind of the difference, the way I look at it. Next, better experiences. We all want better experiences. Natural language would be a big value to us over there. Better experiences with natural language. What are the horizontals and verticals where biggest value is achieved? Now, you guys may or may not be on this horizontal or vertical, but customer operations, sales and marketing, coding and software would see significant value from that. Accelerated R&D. So R&D cycles are coming down significantly, and we all have seen that in the case of pharmaceutical research. And verticals, banking, high-tech, life sciences, these are just top 3. Manufacturing, I think, would be a huge gain. There would be a lot of gains in manufacturing as well, and so on. And retail, of course, because retail, the margins are so tight. So that's going to be a help.
Yeah, Rishi, I just wanted to touch on that as
Sorry.
well. Sorry, Rishi, I just wanted to touch on that as well, going back to one of the slides that I mentioned about the CFO being a multifaceted CFO now. Increasingly in the US, I'm not sure if it's the same in Europe, but in the US, a lot of CFOs in the job descriptions are now kind of being hired to basically pull out their Rolodex and see what kind of clients they can bring to the table. It's no longer enough just to have a CPA qualification or just have the experience. They're actually looking at your network. So even the marketing and sales part here is something now the CFO is expected to do. So that just highlights the transition that the US is going through at the moment. And the same with customer operations. I'm getting more and more frequently involved with customers on the finance side, trying to explain their metrics. And because, as Rishi said, are you getting value out of your IT system? Our customers are asking, are we getting value out of what we're paying you? And this is where AI can really help you with that data to try and pass that analysis.
Yeah. Anything on this one as well, Rishi?
Yeah, I think definitely on this one, the consumerization of technology is becoming a huge thing. I think the biggest thing that I've seen for that is basically, and you may touch on this a little later, Rishi, in some of your later slides, but the way I feel right now about AI, especially in the US, is that it's almost like outsourcing was to India about 10, 15 years ago. Everyone wanted you to be somehow using those outsourcing services, but everyone had their concerns. You know, will they speak the same language? Do they have the same culture? How will the hours work given the different time zones? Are they even the same skill set and level? Now, over there, everywhere you look, everyone's using outsourcing, whether it's India, Serbia, South America, Eastern Europe. Everyone's using some form of outsourcing in some way, or Philippines, for example, in some way or another. It's now the norm. So at the time when it came out, everyone wanted you to use outsourcing, but they wanted your arms around it to make sure that they had like a field of protection from it. And I feel like that's the way AI is going. Every client now is asking us, what are you doing with AI? What's your AI capabilities? And if you come to a pitch without any AI technology, you're already behind the game, even though the AI technology isn't even there yet, but they are marketing it in such a way that the AI is there and can do all these great things. But what they're not telling you is that it's probably 7 different AI systems all being manually collated together to give you the presentation that makes it look like it's one AI doing everything. And that's not really the case anymore. So there's a lot of sifting through the AIs that you have to go through to really get to the crux of the situation and decide whether whether the AI really is beneficial for you or not.
Absolutely great points. Great points. And I would also request attendees to drop in messages if you all feel there's something that you'll want me to highlight and others to answer. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Rishi, for that point. Let's move forward on this one. So I want to bring one more topic. This relates to consumerization of technology and the way this is a very personal view as well as to how things are going to change. Rise of the agents. So what is an agent? An agent is a set of code. It could be a simple SQL that could be generated by you all just by clicking. So think of a situation where you can say, hey, alert me when this account number 54703, a cloud spent, is more or less, then put in a number, 3%, 5%, 7%, 0.5%, of the average of the previous quarter. You could say average of last week, last year. So what this is an agent that you'll just created. It's a simple click. Anybody with a, could do that. Now you've created an agent. Now this agent could be executed on demand or on a schedule. So what will this agent do? All of these agents do a little bit itty bitty piece of work that they do. And then collectively they can solve a big problem. So you can create an agent to say, hey, whenever this cloud spend goes more than 3%, alert me. But if my revenue goes up by 5%, don't bother. So you've created 2 agents and they work together. And it's so much peace of mind that you're not surprised at the end of the quarter, at the end of the month, at the end of the year to say my cloud spend went up. Right? So if my revenue goes up by 10%, I'm okay with my cloud spend going up by 5%, don't bother. But if my revenue is flat, cloud spend goes by 3%, let me know. The idea for me, my vision is that every single business user should be able to create these agents. And you should be able to do that in natural language or just click. You should not need help of experts or consultants or IT to do that. Agent on the wall. Tell me the anomalies on spend or sale. Agent on the wall. What are the data quality issues do I have? Forecast the sales of coffee maker if the interest rates falls by 0.5%. Agent should be able to answer all of that. Agent on the wall. I'm getting into this M&A situation and they dumped 300 contracts on me. Can you pull the data out from those so I don't have to pay $3 million to my attorneys to read through those contracts? Just pull this data out and tell me how many contracts expired last year. 2 minutes or less, an agent would do that for you. Execute my data science models as well. You're people writing data science, machine learning models, you should be able to execute those data models on demand when you want, using the same AI platform that I talked about earlier on. Make sense?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight
So-
a use case that we're actually doing right now here at Acadia, using Quaeris, in fact, which is getting a contract database in place. Contract databases right now cost you, depending on the size of your contract, could be well over $1 million just to implement and maintain on a yearly basis. We've actually building right now an AI tool that will essentially take unstructured data, which is the contracts. We're relocating them into one central folder. The AI is then scanning that folder, creating a contract summary. So it's converting unstructured data, because the contracts are in different forms and templates, converting that into a structured database to make it structured data, and then rerunning the AI on the structured data to be able to provide exactly what Rishi was saying. How many contracts expired? What's my average spend for this particular service line, et cetera, et cetera. So it does take a little bit of ingenuity with the AI sometimes to be able to create that, but that is a huge saving, because the AI tool itself just runs and then you just pay per query, as opposed to paying $1 million for a contract summary database to be essentially not as good as what the AI could do. So it doesn't just apply to contracts, but anything that's essentially unstructured can be you could use the AI to convert it to structured data, and then rerun AI tools on it to run queries. And this could apply to your HR teams, for example. The amount of contracts they have to sift through, the amount of resumes they have to sift through to find the right position. An AI tool could easily just run a query on all of those resumes and pull out the best candidates using keyword search. That saves you recruiter fees right there and then. And then you can highlight those individuals and narrow it down to the top 10, saving hours of time and costs of recruiter fees.
Saving hours. Yeah. That's a use case everyone's thinking about. We'll talk more about this one, Rishi. I think if you have some estimates around savings, that'll be great. I'm going to come to that use case in a moment. So these use cases, here's one thing. I could talk about real fancy, real awesome use cases that'll save you $100 million every day, but they could not be easy to implement. So I'm starting about from use cases which are you can use right now. There's technologies available that you can deploy right now, start saving, and money that you can reinvest into it. So very simple use cases. I can talk about all kinds of fancy use cases as well, but let's focus on the key things. Simple ad hoc questions. How often do we come into the office and we have hundreds of small little questions? What is the gross margin trend last 12 months? What product showed the most growth? What is the product? How's the shipment rate? Shipments for different products or different factory. We put up a new factory. What will be in the shipment? We just bought a new factory, new location. How many widgets are we making? We bought a new office. What are the sales in that geography? We entered into a new country, into Brazil. How has that country done? We have hundreds of small little questions that need to be answered like that. So there's a research group like Gartner in the US. There's a group called BARC in Germany. So they did a research on conversational queries. That's what they're calling. If you'll want a copy of that research report, please let us know. I'm happy to share that research report with you all. So conversational queries are, the biggest point about that is you don't have to keep moving the data. You can run those conversational queries directly from the source data in natural language, get the answers. Okay. Simple 2, 3, 4, 5 dimension questions, right? Sales by location, by product, by month, right? Sales YTD, the spend YTD, spend this quarter, simple question. That's a very good, very relevant use case that we can deploy. I would love to have some feedback from everyone. Yes or no, do you guys like this thing or not like this, like my pace, please let me know. Next one. advanced data analysis or performance analysis, you close the books. You want to go ahead and report that to your leadership. You have to report that to the board. You can even ask complex questions of AI now, and they're able to answer that question very well. Can you that way you can free up your data teams to improve on data quality and go out and do more meaningful work here, right? You can build agents yourself to do that analysis proactively. You can run. I mean, we close at the ledger level, right? But we know there's a lot of intelligence sitting in our AP data, AR data, or other areas, right? Our shipping information. Can we go build the agent that goes right into that shipping data? Can we build the agent that goes right into the billings that we are doing and able to surface insights? Absolutely. As a CFO in the finance organization, we owe it to ourselves to know where the month is going to land before the month is over. We have the data. It's only a matter of getting that data out, putting it in a meaningful manner. And we have enough institutional knowledge that people know what we're doing, right? So here's a question that came very relevant. What do you see as the main difference between AI and installing Tableau for analytics or Conga for contracts? Let's talk a little bit about Tableau right here, and then I'll invite Rishi Ramano to talk about Conga for contracts. So absolutely, Tableau does a great job. But you have to buy Tableau, then you have to hire a consultant to implement Tableau. Then they will go out and build dashboards and more dashboards and more dashboards. Any mid-sized company in the US you talk, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. Bank of America is based here, and the numbers are crazy. Somebody says there are at least 20,000 dashboards. Somebody said, no, we have at least 100,000 dashboards in this bank. How many do you think would be used every day? The data says that it costs roughly about $8,000 to $20,000 to make one dashboard. And we have 100,000 of them. Who's using them? So dashboards have a life. So Tableau, pick any dashboard. They are being made by somebody else who is sitting on the other end of the office in the next building, or sometimes other side of the world. Do you have time? There are many questions in our business that have half-life of 2 seconds. The questions that have half-life of 2 seconds, and I want quick answers. And that's where AI fits in very well. Now, Tableau has come up with AI, but it's going to cost you a lot more to do that as well. So put that into consideration to say, what is the right AI? What problem am I solving with it? Right? Rishi, you want to talk a little bit about contract management system versus something like Quaeris' AI?
Yeah, I've used a few contract systems. The Ironclad was one I used previously in another company in Sony Music and in Dentsu as well, actually. But I've seen a few of them. The biggest thing I think with contract management is that you have to fit into their model. So, for example, we have creative contracts, which are kind of ratcheted. If you spend $1 million, you get X percent as our fee. You spend more than $1 million, you get a lower percentage fee. You'd be surprised how many contract management tools couldn't cope with that. They're so used to seeing a straight up retainer fee and and not very much performance-based models. They've got better over the years for sure, but you still have to kind of fit into their model. So if you have anything that's unique, it's very hard to then try and fit into their platforms, because every contract has to fit into a nice template field that they have in order for their platform to work correctly. The moment you start integrating that platform into things like Salesforce, I've found it to become much slower to get the data and run queries. So the thing with AI is that it almost eliminates the need for the middle party, such as Conga or Ironclad, because the AI is running directly off your database. Now, with that, I'm sure comes a little bit more storage space and server space that's needed, but it far outweighs in terms of cost savings, the amount that you'd spend for a Conga to come in or an Ironclad. So even then, yes, there's a little bit more build and a little bit more structure that's needed within your own infrastructure. Once you get there in the long run, I believe the speed of information that will come from AI, as well as the structure being tailored to your unique business versus having to fit into a mold, will prove to give you dividends in the long run.
So does that, Jason, hopefully that answers the question. We can continue to talk more about it later. Documents. This is exactly what Rishi was talking about, right? Can I ingest documents directly from sitting in SharePoint, in OneDrive, in Google Drive, in Box.com, or so many other places, right? There could be, the world's not going to be owned by Microsoft, right? Companies may want to own everything inside your shop, but likely not, right? Can I go across all the document sources? Can I control who gets to see it? So as much as I'm talking about something like document and data search gives you an enterprise search platform, my challenge with the classical enterprise search platforms is this. My challenge with them is once the information goes out, it is out. It's very difficult to control and manage that. So if somebody puts in a salary Excel out there, God forbid what happens to it. So I think even if we have to go to enterprise search, we have to narrow down the scope and where are we doing? So we always have to start from the user perspective, not data perspective, not technology perspective. So can we load documents? Can we ingest documents, ask questions? And once we ask questions, can we do an extraction of data out of that? Can I pull out client name, start date, end date, duration? The services we gave, the fees that we are paying, the payment terms for that contract, if I can do that out of 300 contracts, how awesome is that? This is the use case that Rishi Ramano was talking about, right? And once I have that information, I can drop that into and build dashboards on it. How awesome is that? I have the full billing information by type of fees. I can know what contracts are ending when. I can know what the payment terms are. Right? Here's another use case. A CFO reached out to me, manufacturing company, mid-size here in South Carolina. And he was like, Rishi, I just took this role some time ago, and there is so many contracts that I don't have access to, which are signed. So I do not know if you're continuing to give the product to a customer, and do we have a legit contract or not? Contract might be signed by our sales people, but not the customer. If it was signed by the customer, it may be sitting on the desk of the salesperson. How do I do that? Rishi, is it possible for you to extract the signature block from the contracts? All I want to know, how many contracts are signed by us, but not the customer? Simple use case. I mean, every company would have that use case.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we've talked a lot about data extract and contracts and things like that. But I mean, I've had the same questions, Rishi, as well. It's like from CFOs that are asking the same sort of question: why isn't there an AI for cash flow? All you have to do is get an AI that looks at all my bank transactions over the last year and be able to predict what the next year should be. You've already got my revenue customers on retainer, so you know when the due dates are, you know when the invoices go out. You should be able to have an AI that can predict all that. I believe there are some. I've seen some that are actually pretty good. In fact, Chase Bank are now actually implementing an AI system on their cash flow management model to do exactly that. So that's like as you were saying before, you should be able to know the revenue at the end of the month before the end of the month. Well, in our industry, at least, we have to know for the year what the revenue is going to be month by month, 12 months in advance. That's how much we forecast 12 months out. So even that is something that an AI tool should be able to do. Not only does that take the job away from the business unit leaders or the divisional leaders that are in charge of forecasting, but I believe it actually gives more accuracy to the data, because there's a lot of trends and analysis that they wouldn't necessarily see, because they're not looking historically. They're just looking at what they know going on in the future, and they're not taking into account historically there's always a project that comes in once every 6 months that could be worth $1 million. They don't just typically do that because they're all conservative. They've all got human bias, and so they don't necessarily want to put those things in for fear of not then achieving it. But that then makes my life a lot harder, seeing a cash flow forecast that's going to drop in the next 6 months, and I can't understand why. And I have to go through each business unit to figure out who was it that didn't put in something that they should have. So I think there's a lot to be said for AI to give a foundational start to cash flow forecasting, as well as other financial data, for then the human to come in and maybe layer on top their thoughts and processes. But I believe then the AI would start with a more accurate foundation.
Exactly.
So, Rishi,
an accurate foundation. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So Armin asked about hallucinations and how you address that risk of hallucinations if it happens, especially with contracts, right? If it tells you something that's actually not happening in your contract. So how do you address that problem?
So there are certain technologies like RAG, etc., which people are deploying to reduce the hallucinations. Hallucinations will stay. More tuning, more training will help, but those things cost money. So there are 2 or 3 things. Like, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my company's product. We built our own private model, and we have tuned it in a manner that, especially on data, it will never give you a wrong answer. And we guarantee that our product will never give you a wrong data answer, 0 hallucinations. Now, when it comes to text, hallucinations are very logical. I mean, in some sense, it's very difficult to control that. But a language around like, hey, you and I understand the difference between forecast and a budget and a plan, right? Now, sometimes a language model may use those phrases interchangeably. In fact, not only that, some of these terms are company specific. I could call it a forecast. I could call it a reforecast. I could call a plan. I could call, So some of those things are acceptable, but if you're having your LLM generate language, the likelihood is much higher. When you ask it to summarize, the likelihood is less. But the use cases that I'm more passionate about, and Rishi talked about, is extracting data out of contracts. And there the hallucination is really, really low. And we can address this question more. Anomaly detection. I mean, we talked about this a little bit. Fraud. Somebody fat-fingered data, like you're reviewing Q2 budget versus actuals, and let's say data from UK had an anomaly. It did not get entered. But at the aggregated level, you may not know. But AI would be able to quickly identify to say, hey, there's a blank field here, or I see that at a very granular level, there is a disconnect. So those kind of anomalies would quickly come out. Anomaly detection is another excellent use case for agents, right? So I can go out and write an agent, and that agent is run in every night. You could make that agent run every hour, every 2 minutes, but you could run it every night and say, hey, what are the numbers looking like, right? So that's a great use case for agent, and you all should be able to write an agent for anomaly detection. How awesome will that be?
Yeah, I just wanted to also highlight another use case.
M&A use case, we alluded to this, right? Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to highlight another use case as well. That I was speaking to a couple of partners at EY last night, and they're actually setting up. Well, they've already set up a technology division many years ago, but they've now set up within that another AI division over the last year or so. And the AI is going to be heavily implemented in the audit function now, such that the AI should really be able to come in and do anything from a year 1, year 2, year 3 junior level entry candidate. Because AI essentially will just go through the entire journal entry of a customer and be able to audit that instantaneously. And then the interns are going to come in, or the juniors are going to come in, and then start reviewing that data at the granular level, deciding on depending on what the AI spits out as an anomaly, to your point, a transaction or a journal entry that doesn't make sense.
Absolutely.
So this is also a training thing then that can have wider implications. Like before, you and I, Rishi, were dating ourselves, but we came out and we didn't have to know any coding. We didn't have to know any of this. But the interns of the future, they're going to have to come out learning computer language now. They're going to have to come out learning language models, and they're going to have to come out knowing how to vet AI data as part of a basic skill set. Things that we take for granted now are going to be mandatory going forward.
Absolutely. So anomaly detection is a huge use case, and audit is is an unbelievable use case. I mean, that huge savings there. I mean, you need to audit before the auditors show up, if you will, and things would be so much more smoother and cleaner at that time. Now, M&A is another use case that we alluded to a little while ago, right? That review the contracts for exceptional language, right? Does any contract say right of first refusal? That's all you have to find, right of first refusal. How easy will it be for you to just ask that question and say, give me the contracts that have right of first refusal, instead of paying an attorney firm to go through 300 contracts of them? Because funny thing is that attorney firm is probably doing exactly this and charging you $1 million for doing that. So that's one. You receive financial statements, you got to validate that. You got to check the metrics. You know, did they fat finger their calculations as showing the debt equity ratio lower than what it actually is? Are they correctly representing their day sales outstanding? You could do that really, really quickly using AI or AI-enabled system. You could do that with Tableau as well, as we talked earlier on, but it's going to take time for you to do that. Especially in an M&A situation, you don't have one target. You may start with 5 targets. You do all the financial analysis and then come up with narrow down on 1 or 2 company that you move forward with. So amount of work that you're going to have to do for those 5 targets using AI is tremendous value. And they both combine projections and analysis.
5-minute warning, Rishi.
Okay. Oh my God, there's a lot to be covered here. All right, let's move forward. Reporting automation. This could save millions of dollars. In fact, one of our customers is anticipating about $3 million saving just by using intelligent report. By automating that process and making it smart, right? They have an approval process, refresh data in seconds. You know, they're cutting the reporting time by 90%. Every single company can benefit from this use case. Every single company can literally benefit from this single use case. The auditability, you know, governance, the very important thing. So the question really is, which use case do we go after? I love to use this 2 by 2. One axis, cost of solving the problem or use case. Other axis, the value we're going to gain from solving the problem. This quadrant, we do not want to do, right? High cost, low value, we don't worry about it. Somewhere up here is solving problem of hunger. No hunger in the world. No, no malaria in the world. It's a worthy problem to solve, but the cost is so high that you may not want to do it. So what this quadrant seems most valuable to us, right? The value is high, but the cost is low. I differ. I think we should start with the use cases which are down here, low complexity and low value. And I say that because the risk associated with solving this problem is a lot lower. You have to start adopting AI. Let's pick a simple use case. Let's just automate reports. Let's just get simple queries, data questions asked. Why do we want to solve this use case where there's high value, and this use cases also have high visibility? So expectations of people in your company would be higher. Let's start with this, and then we will go to the next one, and we will wait for those big problems to solve. Let's embrace these ones, have multiple small wins, save money, invest in this use case, set of these use cases, and then some point in time, we'll get to these use cases. What AI is not? Let's run through it quick. It can go wrong. Every single bot that Microsoft has delivered thus far has gone rogue. It has become racist. It has used foul language. If that happens to Microsoft, it can happen to everyone. No original thought, right? I don't know how many of you guys are into art. I love art. And, from Renaissance where realism was big, and from that transition to Impressionism, to Cubism, and to so on and so forth, modern art, AI could not do that. It needs us. It needs the ingenuity of human brain. So think about if Galileo had asked ChatGPT, does Earth go around the sun or sun go around the Earth? What answer would ChatGPT give Galileo? ChatGPT would say, of course, everyone knows the sun goes around the Earth. because that was the knowledge base it had. But it required ingenuity. It required ability to question. I'm observing this and this ain't right. Free of bias or ethics. It is not yet. It'll be very difficult for us to get to that point because of unsupervised learning. The fundamental premise there is unsupervised learning, and therefore difficult to train ethics. We don't teach. It's going to reflect the worst of us. Above all, it is not human. It does not have a concept of intuition. It does not have concept of emotions or cultural sensitivity. So using this in HR space, be a little careful. No need to hurry into that. So in short, it's not a panacea for everything. And it's definitely not making lunch for you tomorrow morning, despite what Microsoft or OpenAI or everyone is going to say. It is not. Real quick thought on cost. Let's think about it. All these companies which are making hundreds of billions of dollars of investment, they're going to make collective, $1 trillion investment. Where do you think they're going to recover their cost from? They want to, if they make $1 trillion investment, stock market expects them to make 20 to 30x return. Who's going to pay? Each one of you is going to pay for that. Therefore, we have to focus on what value can we get out of it, and not just fall prey to things like that. Risk of compliance and data privacy and security. That's also a cost. We have to cover those things. And somebody asked that question, and Arvind asked about that question as well. So I think we have to jump into it, but we have to go slow. Let's go for automation. Automation is so much more easier and cheaper today with AI. Let's adopt natural language. That's a simple one, right? Let's embrace AI, but start small. As I said, let's go for those use cases which are low in value, which are low in cost, much easier. Partner and co-build. Partner and co-build. That's another big one that I'm a big believer in. And third is keep the expectations low. If you keep the expectations low, don't jump into it head first. You will likely save money and come out a winner. Rishi, anything else you would add to it?
No, I think that's absolutely 100% accurate. I think it's a case of, and pardon the language here, but there's a lot of AI out there that is just absolute rubbish. But they'll market themselves in such a unique way that makes them sound like they're brilliant. You have to really take your time with this, make sure it's providing the value, make sure it's providing the service that you want, and really sift through the noise that's out there. And there's a lot of companies that will say they use AI, but are they really using AI, or are they just adding an AI onto a Tableau or something else that's really just that's another platform that's really servicing and making it look like it's AI. So you have to be very careful. The other side, like I said before, is that AI is now the expectation. So whether you're in it or not, it's coming whether you like it or not. So you have to kind of dip your feet in and show that you are embracing it, that you are getting involved, because clients are coming at us left, right, and center because they don't want to be left behind and they don't want their vendors to leave them behind. As a result, in terms of us being a marketing agency, they don't want to be held to AI in the sense that it's going to be detrimental because we're just relying 100% on AI. They don't want that either. They want your arms around it. They want the AI touch, but they want the human embrace. They want to know that you're the force field around the AI data, reviewing the things and sanitizing it for accuracy, and then presenting the data in the way that they want to see it. That's not to say AI can't still do that, but I think it's one of those where you have to get involved. And what we've seen so far is let the competition build the AI, sift through the competition to find the right one for you, and then leverage it from there. We have seen some companies try and build their own AI, but it's a lot more expensive to do so that way. And there's too many competitors out there to really be able to say that yours is going to be any better than what's already out there. I think it's worth looking out there first from what we've seen and then go from there.
Partner up. That's kind of the key thing. This Q&A. So here's mine and Daniel's information. I didn't want to go ahead and put Rishi's Ramano's information, but he's on LinkedIn. He shared that. So I would appreciate LinkedIn connections and continued conversations. And if you'll want us to talk to your other executive leaders and leadership, I'm happy to make a short version of this presentation to you all.
This is fantastic. This was a very interesting and engaging presentation. Thank you very much, Rishi and Rishi, for the show. As Daniel announced it, this was a fascinating, I guess, introduction into how to use it, how to use AI in finance with a low risk profile. I would encourage everybody to leave their the link to their LinkedIn profile in the chat. You can save the chat by clicking on the right dots at the top right corner of the chat box. That way you can access all the profile of the participants and reach out to them. I would encourage you to do that. And I certainly will reach out to some of you that I haven't been connected yet. So thank you very much. Is there any concluding question that's still burning?
I'm looking.
I take that as a no. So thank
Like
you
I
very
said,
much. Thank
you're
you.
most welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
So Rishi, just so you can announce it, how will people get a copy of this if they would like to have one?
They
I'll
can
be
reach out
sending
to
it
me
out.
or Charlotte can send.
I'll be sending it out as soon as I get the slide deck. I'll send out the Zoom link and the slide deck to everybody who registered.
Wonderful. Thank you, Charlotte.
And if y'all want the research report from BARC Germany on, I think the US arm of BARC on conversational queries, I'm happy to share that as well. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or my email, rishi@quaeris.ai.